Welcome back to Market Headline. The Central Bureau of Statistics, or BPS, recorded that the number of foreign tourist visits to Indonesia in March 2021 reached 132.6 thousand visitors. And this figure is up by 14.45% over the previous month.
The Central Statistics Agency, or BPS, noted that the number of foreign tourists who came to Indonesia in March 2021 reached 132.6 thousand. On a monthly basis, this figure is up to 14.54% compared to the February 2021. Deputy for Statistics, Distributions and Services of BPS, Sutianto, explained that the cumulative number of foreign tourist visits reached 385.59 thousand visits. This figure decreased by 85.45% compared to the number of foreign tourist visits in the same period in 2020, which amounted to 2.65 million visits.
Sebesar 132,6 ribu kunjungan di bulan Maret ini. Dibandingkan dengan bulan Februari yang lalu, besar 115,8 ribu kunjungan. Kemudian memang ini masih jauh dibandingkan dengan tahun 2020 maupun 2019. Namun di bulan Januari sampai Maret 2021 sudah mengalami peningkatan.
Currently, the majority of foreign tourist arrivals enter via land entrance, amounting to 59%, sea entrance 40.9%, and air entrance about 10%. The most foreign tourists visiting were from Timor-Leste, amounting to 49.2%. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
The tourism industry is the most affected sector by the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, the recovery of tourism sector will take a long time. However, indications of recovery can be monitored through the level of foreign tourist visits and the occupancy rate of hotel rooms. So, along with the recovery efforts, how are the developments so far? Let's review it in the following infographics. Here it is, the first infographics about the number of foreign tourist visits in Indonesia. We can see that the number is quite fluctuative, but the latest data in March 2021 shows that we have 123,000 visits. And then, referring to the data from Statistik Indonesia, the number of foreign tourist visits in March 2021 was recorded to have decreased by 72.73% year-on-year when compared to the March 2020, which amounted to 486,200 visits. Even when compared to the pre-COVID positions in March 2019, which amounted to 1.31 million visits, foreign tourist visits in March 2021 were still lower. And talking about foreign tourist visits, one of the main tourist destinations, Bali, even recorded the number of foreign tourists, only 3 people in March 2021. And based on the BPS Bali data, the number fell around 99.99% compared to March in the previous year, which reached around 167,000 visits. And even though it has increased monthly, it turns out that the foreign tourist visits are still contracting, and even when calculated on the annual basis. So let's directly check the data in the next graphic. For the next graphic, we can see the development of foreign tourist visits. First of all, we can see the period of January to March 2020 in compared to January to March 2021. The number dropped around 85.45%. And based on the entrance, 59% of tourists come from the land road, and foreign tourists who came from the road via Antikong and also Aruk, and then followed by sea and air roads, where the foreign tourists who come by air via Soekarno-Hatta and some Ratulangi Airport. And both experienced an increase of 71% and 144.69% month-on-month respectively. And then, which countries did foreign tourists come to Indonesia during March 2021? So let's take the data in the next graphic. We can see the origin of the country of foreign tourists in March 2021. So we can conclude that the most foreign tourists to Indonesia comes from Timor-Leste by 49.17%, then following by Malaysia, China, Singapore, and Papua New Guinea. And talking about recovery, in March, tourist visits from China reached around 8,500, an increase of 191.73% month-on-month and 70.59% year-on-year. But however, at the same time, foreign tourist arrivals from several countries such as Kuwait, New Zealand, and Australia have not seen any improvement. Meanwhile, foreign tourist visits are expected to affect the occupancy rate of star-classified hotel rooms in a number of regions in Indonesia. How is the data? So let's see. Let's check it in the next graphic about the improvement and so on. Here it is. For the next graphic, we can see the domestic hotel occupancy rate, which we can say that the room occupancy rate for star-classified hotel reached around 36.07%. And then the room occupancy rates in star-classified hotel in Indonesia increased by 8.35% year-on-year. So it is better in February 2021, or an increase of 3.83% compared to the room occupancy rate in March 2020, which was recorded at 32.24%. And then, what about room occupancy rates in number of provinces? Let's take a look. One of them from the data on the room occupancy rate in Bali. In March 2021, the occupancy was recorded at 10.24%, increase from the occupancy rate in February 2021, which recorded at 8.99%. Meantime, when compared to March 2022, which reached around 25.41%, the occupancy rate in March 2021 was recorded to have dropped by 15.17 points. And yes, viewers, hopefully the efforts to restore the tourism sector will continue while the government remains vigilant and careful in handling the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still not over until now. So yes, viewers, stay tuned to Market Headlines because we will be right back after this quick break.